Have I ever mentioned that I've been in Doctor Who? Obviously, I'm not in the actual Doctor Who, but I have been in the second best thing. No, it's not Big Finish. No, it's not Titan Comics. It's not the Doctor Who books. I've been in the fourth best thing, let's count there, Doctor Who fan films. Since around September last year, I've been starring in FBC Productions' Doctor Who fan series, both the series of specials they did last year and their new series Doctor Who Exodus. So for the last few months I've been a Doctor Who villain, and that's pretty cool, to be honest. But how the hell did this come about? How the hell did I go from this to this?
Where is the Doctor?
Editing Tom, you can cut through all this. The Doctor Who series is directed and show-run, in a sense, by Pete Messam, who's a young filmmaker and very cool guy. And about 4 years ago, I met Pete at the Doctor Who Festival, which was this big event they did in London. One of the best days of my life. I got to meet Peter Capaldi, Mark Gatiss, and saw some really cool stuff. It was amazing. In the queue to meet Mark Gatiss, I met Pete and Joe from FBC. And they were really cool about it. I just went up to them kind of awkwardly and went, "Hey, you're the guys from FBC." But I kept commenting on some of their stuff. They began to recognise me, and eventually me and Pete became friends on Facebook. And he noticed that I've been doing a lot of artwork on Twitter and Facebook, a lot of Doctor Who artwork specifically, mainly Photoshop, posters, stuff like that. He was working on a spin-off to their Doctor Who series, Unit Files. And he asked me if I'd want to do some artwork for it. I said yes, and I created a few posters for the series. He liked it so much, he just kept asking me to do posters, and it sort of became a given whenever he got a new Doctor Who episode out that he'd want me to do the artwork for it. I've been designing artwork for basically every episode, doing poster art, promo images, lots of stuff like that. During production of Legacy of a Time Lord, which was the last of those specials, knowing that it'd be his last, the last one where he'd be playing the Doctor, out of the blue I said, wouldn't it be nice if, like, maybe I did a cameo or something, like a mini voice role? And funnily enough, Pete already had a character lined up, not for me to play specifically, but that hadn't been cast yet. I think one of them was a servant, and the other was Klarus.
We've met before, haven't we?
The Morbius War.
Klarus.
I'm surprised you remember me.
A very long time ago. I was a different man back then.
Literally.
Now Klarus is a member of the Cult of Morbius, a cult that was led by Morbius, the classic Doctor Who villain. I'm some sort of assassin, servant in some ways, who likes to think of himself as a leader. He's sort of an Ebony Maw kind of almost Hux type character, like Hux from Star Wars. And I've always liked villains like that, kind of lackeys who really kind of their only goal in life is to serve the villain. He's always serving someone, he's never the leader, but he clearly wants to be. And there's a lot of times where I try to make it sound like he's enjoying it. I wouldn't say that he's aware that he's evil, as he quite clearly thinks that what he's doing is good. But there's a lot of times when he's getting a lot of joy out of doing terrible things. I didn't want everything given away, so he sent me just my scenes, which is kind of how voice acting works. I think at least with like Marvel and Disney stuff, they just send you some out of context lines and you just have to read them. Like Tom Holland apparently doesn't even know who he's acting with until he comes to set. But I deliberately did that. I recorded all my lines. I tried to give him a kind of raspy, very sort of like evil British, kind of posh accent. Pete said, "Well done, this sounds really good." And he edited together. And then on the 22nd of September 2018, Klarus finally appeared. That episode in particular is really well handled. It's got a great atmosphere to it. It does kind of feel like series finales or the end of time, where there is sort of this big foreboding sense to it. And when I showed up, it was really cool. I knew kind of vaguely what I'd look like because I had to do the poster. Because basically I looked at all the characters that Pete had sent me pictures of, and one of them was this green alien, so I thought, that's probably me. And hearing my voice come out of it and interacting with the other characters, it's a very surreal experience. Because when you read it, I don't have anyone to play off. I just have to sort of use my imagination. And that's part of the fun, seeing it when it all comes together, seeing Klarus interact with all the other characters, that's really cool. Peter planned an episode called Enmity, which is a sort of prequel to the specials with George's Doctor in. So I recorded all that, and that gave him a lot more to do. He was more like a main villain in that story. He even gets the closing line, which was quite cool, like a vague indication of his backstory. And that was a lot of fun. And then Pete sent me a sort of plot synopsis for a future episode. And I remember seeing one particular line. This didn't make it into the episode, sadly, but it was Klarus. I think he was overlooking the heroes in the distance, and he said something like "new prey" or something like "new blood," and I thought, oh, I'm really looking forward to seeing that. Eventually the script came through for the Silver Devastation. When I record this, the Silver Devastation comes out on Friday. For me, voicing Klarus, that was the most fun. He's got some great lines. He gets to be essentially the main villain of that story. He has some great interactions with the main characters. It was a lot of fun to do that one. There was one bit in particular that I really wanted to push the kind of evilness of. I think it's Oliver mentions that Foster was killed by another member of the cult, and Klarus hears that and says, "Delightful." That had to be particularly icy, particularly cruel. I did a lot of variations on that.
Delightful. Delightful. Delightful.
Pete sent me a message after he heard that, saying that he got chills. That made me really happy. Knowing someone out there heard my voice in this Doctor Who fan film and actually got chills from it, that was really cool. Actually, I didn't tell my family until the episode came out, and they watched it and were really impressed by it. Showed it to a few friends, they seemed to like it. I know that the guys at FBC really like it. I was watching their behind the scenes video for The Man from Another Universe. There's one bit there where they talk about some of my artwork, and then they talk about me and Klarus, and how much they really loved my performance. I was having a really bad day when I watched that. A lot of things were happening personally. Watching them just sort of gush about this one thing I did on this one small Doctor Who fan film, it really made me quite happy that night. I felt a lot happier after watching that. I guess the magic of things like Doctor Who is that it is escapism. You can just watch an episode, escape from the sort of mundane nature of your own life, and just escape into this fantasy world that in some ways echoes our own. And Doctor Who fan films like that, they're shorter, so you just sort of put them on. Especially with FBC, it's just some friends telling stories about the apocalypse in their back garden. And that's just magical. That's great. If you haven't seen my appearances as Klarus, don't worry, I've included a playlist below of all the episodes starring George as the Doctor, because if you watch from Enmity onwards sort of chronologically, you should get a sort of vague idea as to what's going on. There's a lot of continuity, particularly in the middle episodes, but hopefully you'll enjoy it. And if you've watched them, comment below what you thought of Klarus, and what you thought of the episodes themselves, because I really want to know. And Pete and the guys really deserve the recognition. They are great. They're great young filmmakers, great actors, telling great stories. That's the story of how I became Klarus and a Doctor Who villain. So I really hope you enjoyed that. Again, check out fan films below. I'll see you in the next video, whatever the hell that might be, because I have no consistency on this channel. See ya.